Shalom Aleichem, my name is Moshe Otero.
I'm Elisheva Korf.
And we welcome you to the Ways of Israel. We're your television host for this program of the Ways of Israel.
Moshe, you won't believe who we have in today's show.
Who?
We have Rabbi Joseph Korf from the Hollywood Community Synagogue.
And what will he be sharing with us today?
Kosher conversion.
Wait a minute, Elisheva. We Jews don't look after converts.
Well, let's find out. Let's ask the rabbi.
Okay, let's go and find and ask the rabbi.
Hi, my name is Ray with Nice Car Inc. This is a family-owned operated business since 1977, over 25 years. We have about 200 vehicles, cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from. If you have a problem with your credit, we can help you. You could call us at 954-987-3895. 954-987-3895. Come see us.
It has a sleek, all-in-one design like the Apple iMac computer, only it's faster. Has more storage capacity and can run thousands more software programs. Presenting the remarkable new Gateway Profile 4. Oh, and by the way, did we mention the Gateway Profile costs less than the iMac? Gateway, a better way.
As this film depicts, in Jerusalem, where Abraham spun the first stories, the scribe who carefully writes the scroll by hand sits for a year of days and copies out, word by word, from a correct text before him, the Torah scroll. Before he begins, the scribe meditates in silence on the holiness of his task. He pronounces every single word before writing it. Each letter is specially shaped, and 7 of them are adorned with little crownlets called tagim. Each line is perfectly balanced to build long and even columns of sacred text. The scribe writes the words with a turkey quill, cut to give it a flat surface for the square letters. He holds the quill sideways, make thin lines, and flat for the thick ones. There must be space around every letter. He dips the quill into a pot of black ink, made of the soot that collects when olive oil is burned, mixed with honey, oil, and crushed walnuts. The Torah is written on 248 sheets of parchment. Each sheet contains 3 to 8 columns of 42 lines each, with margins on the top and bottom of the sheet, as well as between the columns. Each line must contain at least 30 letters. Jewish tradition recommends that every Jew should make a copy of the Torah himself, or at least order one. As the scribe completes his work, he only outlines the letters of the first and last passages. In this way, he enables those who purchase the scroll and their friends to fill them in, and thereby participate in the loving privilege of writing a Torah. When the sheets are completed, the scribe sews them together with thongs of giddim, reinforced by strips of parchment. The first and last sheets are tied to wooden rollers, by which the scroll will be held and protected. The finished scrolls are sent to Jewish communities around the world. Each congregation cherishes its Torah scrolls. They contain the distilled experiences of the Jewish people's ancestors and their search for the meaning of life. They carry the wisdom from Zion that began with Abraham and continues to this day. I'd say that the concentration which the scribe needed to write the scroll by hand is matched only by the concentration of the reader who interprets the scroll for a congregation. Why do Jewish people go to all that trouble? Why not just read scripture from a printed Bible? It would be so much easier. Perhaps it would, but for those you love, you enjoy doing special things. We call that a labor of love. Selecting the perfect gift, wrapping it with special attention, singing their favorite song. The Torah is the Jewish people's first love. It was born when the Jews began. It has been with us through every trial and threat. In dense ghettos, it sang of shepherds and flowing streams. In despair, it sang of hope. The sages called it the tree of life, Etz Chaim, a center of shade and fruit and living waters. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace.
We have with us today Rabbi Joseph Korf from the Hollywood Community Synagogue. Rabbi, Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem Shalom.
I have to ask you a question. Our topic today is kosher conversion, but before we get to that, do we as Jews go out and seek converts?
No, we don't. Although I know that there are many people today who are desirous of becoming Jewish and wish to convert to the Jewish faith. And so our sages do tell us that although we don't actively go out and seek converts, nevertheless, we do not push somebody away who is serious in their intent to become Jewish either. So it's a sort of a high wire act. On the one hand, we don't urge people, we don't want people to become Jewish necessarily. We believe that every person was created in the image of God and therefore has their purpose in this world and has the obligation to live as a moral human being. And if they do so, they are rewarded and are given grace by God, no matter which religious background they're from. However, if they believe and they feel that there is this, and there's this inner desire to become Jewish, and that is what they believe their soul seeks, and if they're very serious, then we are obligated to help, to assist them in their mission to become, and their goal to become Jewish, if they're worthy of it.
Rabbi, doesn't the Talmud say that the reason the Jews were exiled was so the converts could come and join us?
Well, the Talmud does mention something similar to that, but the Talmud also, for example, mentions that kashe gerim kesapachas, which means that on the other hand, converts can sometimes be a hazard to the Jewish people. The reason being is because it's not easy to be Jewish. So on the one hand, you have the saying of our sages that it is the Torah wanted that the converts should be added to the Jewish people by their exile, by their study of Torah. On the other hand, the Talmud specifically tries to tell us not to necessarily bring converts into the Jewish fold because it's tough. So therefore, once again, we go back to the high wire act, so to speak. It's a balance. And our sages explain that while on the one hand, it is true that there are many souls that are trapped in non-Jewish bodies, that are those are Jewish souls, since we in Judaism believe in reincarnation, and reincarnation really is a Jewish principle. Therefore, it is possible that sometimes a Jewish soul can be trapped in a non-Jewish body and is worthy and should be brought back to its home, so to speak, where it's supposed to be. On the other hand, if the person is not worthy, then that person can be tremendous trouble to the Jewish people, and we've had that in the past. Therefore, once again, it requires from a Jewish court of law, a rabbinical court of law, to be able to flesh out, to be able to see, and that comes by various means, whether the person is truly serious and whether it is a person who is willing to commit themselves to a Jewish lifestyle, to a halachic lifestyle. And then, if that happens, then not only is a convert not only should a person come back to the Jewish fold, but then our Torah tells us also that the converts can become the greatest of all Jews. And it is, a convert is most beloved by God. And that happens when that person truly belongs or comes back home where he or she truly belongs.
Rabbi, I understand you are involved in doing conversion, and I have to ask you, why do you think there are so many people out there right now seeking to convert to Judaism, something that in the history of Judaism we've never seen before with such numbers?
Well, there are two answers to that question. There is the deeper answer, the more mystical answer, and that would be because our sages tell us that before the end of time, before the redemption of the Jewish people, the coming of Mashiach, all souls, all Jewish souls have to be returned and have to be brought back to their place, to where they belong. That means that, number one, souls that are in heaven that have to come down to earth have to be born and have to be brought into this world, because each soul has a mission to fulfill. All missions must be fulfilled before the exile ends and redemption begins. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, being that there are Jewish souls, perhaps sometimes trapped in non-Jewish bodies, those souls also have to be brought back and have to find their correct place, their rectification. And so therefore, obviously, the soul which drives the person and gives it its impetus, drives that person towards coming back home. And therefore, obviously, there is this tremendous spiritual push for people to return and to become fulfilled spiritually by, in this case, becoming Jewish as they really feel they should be, as their soul tells them to be. But on a more visceral level, you also find that people in general are trying to find spiritual satisfaction. People are unhappy. They're seeking something in this world. And if they're Jewish and they're far away from where they belong, then they want to come back. And that's why you have a very large, energetic Baal Tshuva movement where people are returning, coming back to their faith. The same thing applies to those who are not Jewish, technically speaking. They're not physically Jewish. Yet, as I mentioned before, their soul pushes them towards the goal, towards reaching that spiritual satisfaction. And therefore, you do have a lot of people trying to find that satisfaction, and they feel that this is where they belong. Plus, you also have the technical aspect where many people who have Jewish heritage, Jewish ancestry, especially in the case of a lot of Hispanic people who have Marrano heritage, ancestry. You know the history of Jewish Spain and the tremendous persecution that they went through over a period of 400 years, and the tremendous assimilation that was caused as a result. And therefore you have a lot of these people now reawakening, and they feel that this is where they belong, that the Jewish faith is their faith, and now they just have to find their way back. The way back is by following certain instructions, following a certain path, and that's when they can find, once again, their spiritual fulfillment.
Rabbi, there's another question I have to ask you. Are all conversion kosher? And what makes a kosher conversion kosher?
Well, I think, Moshe, that's perhaps the most important question to address. The truth is, although I understand the topic is kosher conversion, I perhaps wanted to correct you, don't take it personally, but I wanted to correct you and tell you that kosher conversion is really a misnomer. Let's take, for example, the perfect example of kosher food, meat, for example. You can have kosher meat, you can have non-kosher meat. Whether it's kosher or not, it's still meat. When you come to conversion, there's no such a thing as a kosher conversion. It's either a conversion or it's not a conversion. It's not the same thing. It's not the same baby. It's not meat. Either it's meat or it's not meat. And so therefore, if you're going to call soy meat kosher meat, it's not really kosher meat. It's soy. The same thing in conversion. It's either a conversion or it's not. Now, perhaps to explain that to you, let me give you the example. I think the perfect analogy would be when we take, let's take our own country, America. In the United States, either you're born a U.S. citizen. If you're born a U.S. citizen, you're a U.S. citizen, period. Whereas if you come from somewhere else, you have to become a naturalized citizen. In order to become a naturalized citizen, you've got to follow certain steps. You've got to follow certain rules. When you do, and after a certain period of time, usually quite a long time, you can become a U.S. citizen. And then upon becoming a U.S. citizen, you then have to also take an oath to the Constitution of the United States and pledge your allegiance to the country that you are about to accept citizenship from. Taking that analogy and applying it to this case, it would be really the same thing to a certain extent. When one becomes Jewish, there's two ways you can be Jewish. Either you're born a Jew. Born a Jew, our Torah makes very clear, it says very clearly, it's that the mother must be Jewish. And by being born from a Jewish mother, you are a Jew, period. That's a born Jew. However, the Torah does allow for somebody to become a part of the Jewish faith by conversion. But the conversion has to be according to certain steps and certain rules. You have no right, or nor does anybody have a right, to decide that these rules are important, these are not important. Well, we're not going to require the oath, or we're not going to require you to follow the laws or pledge your allegiance, but we'll let you in any way. It doesn't happen that way. Either you follow the rules and you become a Jew. If you don't follow the rules, you can't become a Jew, the same way as you can't become an American citizen. So I think the analogy is quite clear. There is, however, a small difference here between the analogy and the case of conversion, in that when you become an American citizen, however, you remain the same person that you are. If you were a crook, you're going to remain a crook. If you were a good person, you'll remain a good person. If you're a scientist, you're going to become a scientist. Same thing is, in today's politically correct environment that we live in, you can become an American, but usually you have a hyphen placed before it. African American, Indian American, Jewish American, and so on and so forth. So you remain the same person, you just become a part of a new country. In the case of Judaism, it's more than that. When acquiring citizenship, so to speak, within the Jewish faith, it's not just that you're accepting a new faith. You're accepting a new country, so to speak. You're literally becoming a different person. You're becoming a different nationality. That means you literally have to change your whole being. And that's why the rules to become Jewish are not easy. They are very clear. And they are a tough road to hoe. Nobody's trying to tell anybody that it's an easy road to take. But when one takes that road and follows the instructions clearly and goes along with the demands made of him or her, when reaching that goal and becoming Jewish and accepting and pledging, so to speak, one's allegiance to the Jewish faith, which means you actually have to keep the laws and customs of Judaism, then the satisfaction is incredible, and one then thanks God that the road that they took to reach this goal was all worth it. And so therefore, I want to make it clear, it's not easy, but it's a tremendously satisfying feeling when one reaches that point. And so it's a conversion or it's not a conversion. But kosher conversion, sorry. There's no such thing. So you just got to follow the rules, do what you're told, follow what the Torah tells you, just like every Jew has to follow, and you'll get there.
Rabbi, I stand corrected.
Rabbi, aren't most people trying to convert for ulterior motives?
I am not going to ascribe motives to people. Obviously, I don't know most people in the world. However, there's no doubt that there are a certain amount of people who do use the means of conversion for ulterior motives, whether it's for marriage, for any other given reason. The question, however, perhaps is the better question would be, however, is how would you be able to tell whether somebody is using the means of conversion for ulterior motives? And that's where the Jewish Bet Din, the halachic court of rabbis, come in. They're the ones who are here to tell and to flesh out the reasons for the prospective candidate's conversion. And by certain rules and certain ways that have been honed over thousands of years, as codified in the Code of Jewish Law and in the Talmud, we have ways of getting to the purposes and reasons as to why people want to convert and whether they should be accepted as legitimate candidates for conversion. It's by no means a 100%, and obviously mistakes can be made because rabbis are not prophets, and we don't see within the hearts of people. Only God sees your heart. Nevertheless, there are certain rules and certain ways, and out of the, as I said, many years of following certain rules, that we are able to tell generally whether somebody is serious or not, whether there is an ulterior motive or not, and based on that, and based on the education and the and much study and much involvement in the Jewish community and Torah law and so on, we can then finally see when that person is ready, willing, and able to finally reach their goal and become Jewish.
Rabbi, again, I want to thank you for correcting me and saying there's no such thing as kosher conversion. I guess what I'm trying to drive at is a question that what would be a proper conversion? What are the steps that we can know for sure that this person who has converted went through the proper steps of a correct conversion according to Judaism? And what are some of the problems that arise therefrom when it's not done in the proper way?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to go into all the technical steps right now. I suppose, Moshe, that's if you want to join the rabbinical college and get smicha to become a rabbi, you'll learn some of those steps, I suppose, although not all rabbis are involved in that. Or if you want, you could sit down with me. I'll teach you more of the technical steps, or perhaps on another show. But perhaps there's one main, most important thing that I should mention. That's really the most important. And that is obviously who is converting, or to whom is the candidate going to. And that is really the most important factor, because let's use the analogy again of the secular law, and that is, in secular law, when you transgress on a law, you trespass, or you have to go to jail, or you go to court, or whatever, there is a set rule, set laws, there is a court that is accepted, and by law, the courts to judge people. The judges are the ones who have received their degrees and their right by law to sit as judges on other people. Should you go to somebody who's not an accepted judge, obviously it means nothing. You have to go to a judge who has received their law degree, passed the bar exam, been either elected or appointed and confirmed, and then they are, by legal rights, they have the right to sit in judgment on other people, or to, more importantly, interpret law, or interpret the Constitution. Any other thing means nothing. The same thing, taking that analogy now to Torah law, and in our case, conversion. Torah law is very specific. Judaism is very specific as to who may sit in a rabbinical court, who is a rabbi, what gives a rabbi the right and the means by which to interpret law, by which to render a verdict in Jewish law, including in that is obviously the right to convert somebody from something that they were not into a new entity, basically. Obviously, that takes a lot of law, a lot of study, and also involvement in the rabbinical courts as decreed by our sages, as they interpreted the Torah for thousands of years. In other words, precedence. Precedence in secular court is always of greatest importance. It is definitely so, even more so, in Jewish law. We don't make up our own laws. We follow precedents of thousands of years. The Jewish golden chain, so to speak. We don't just cut that chain for our purposes, for material purposes, or for any other material gain, or for whatever other reason. There is a set law, and we have to follow that law. Any other means or any other way means nothing. It means it's not a conversion. So therefore, those who sit in that rabbinical court and those who accept candidates for conversion and do the actual conversion have to be those who are officially recognized and have received that exam, so to speak, to become rabbis and Jewish judges. Anything less means nothing. And so therefore, this is really the most important factor. When people come to a Jewish court of law or to a Jewish rabbi, they should know that if they are not following the Torah law, the observant law, as the rabbis and the Torah teach us, then they're really not getting their money's worth. I would advise them to go back to those non-observant rabbis and take them to court perhaps and get their money back, because they really were not converted. What's most important is they should know that when you follow the laws as the rabbis have taught us, as our sages have taught us for thousands of years, you will get to where you have to get to. And if you're not going to get there, then obviously divine providence is telling us that you don't deserve, or you don't have the right to be a Jew, but you have the right to be a good human being, a good Noahide. A Noahide is one who is, any non-Jew has, as a Noahide, we all come from Noah, has the obligation to observe various commandments that were given to them as human beings. But when you follow the laws and you do not cut the corners, so to speak, and you were meant to get there, you will get there. Anything less, I really am sorry to say, would really mean you didn't get to where you were supposed to get to.
Rabbi, what would you suggest to those people who have been converted by a non-observant rabbi and they find themselves in a predicament that they're not Jewish?
Well, I would tell them to contact an observant religious rabbi, find out the truth, get to the essence of Judaism, and when you do that, you will definitely find out if Judaism is for you or not, and they will already advise you and tell you how to behave, how to act further, and what to do.
Thank you, Rabbi, for being with us, and I wish you Shalom Aleichem. And to you, our viewers, if you want more information regarding this topic that we've just spoken about, call us on the number on the screen. We want to thank you for allowing us in your home. We wish you and yours Shalom Aleichem.
Hi, my name is Ray with Nice Car Inc. This is a family-owned operated business since 1977, over 25 years. We have about 200 vehicles, cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from. If you have a problem with your credit, we can help you. You can call us on 954-987-3895. 954-987-3895. Come see us.
Must confess they offer more but give you less. Wheeler Roof Furniture, no one else can give you more.
Since 1979, the Shalom Show is working hard to increase public understanding, friendship and support for Israel with a view to peaceful solutions for all concerned. Isn't this a cause you personally should participate in? We're expanding to reach even more viewers, and we need your help at this time. Please support this essential cause by becoming a member of the Shalom Show today. Please send your tax-deductible donation to the Shalom Foundation. Thank you, and Shalom.
This brings us to the end of our show today. Please join us again next week.
Thank you for being with us. Shalom.